Welcome to the In Season podcast, rated R for language.
None of us are doctors or neurologists. Things you're about to hear are opinions of people living with epilepsy or seizures. These are firsthand experiences. Epilepsy can cause speech problems, and medications are hard to pronounce, so please bear with me. Epilepsy can cause bad memory, so some stories will be repeated. I'm Pookie. Get ready.
So a question here for us, Lufa. Contraception and epilepsy. This goes out to you lovely womb-having epilepsy havers. What contraceptives do you use? Because I'm about to go insane over here. My gynecologist is like, I don't know, ask your neurologist what works for you or doesn't. And my neurologist is like, go ask your GYN. So last year I did my research, figured that next to some IUDs, which my GYN refers to insert due to reasons, only gestogen, so some kind of hormone pill, works. I take lamotrigine and levetiracetam. I had some bad reactions to the hormone pill and basically suffered for a year. I had to stop taking it. Now that my partner and I are ready to take things a step further, I decided to try again. A month in, things are going south again. Looking back on how things went last time, I don't think it'll get better anytime soon. So here's my questions. What contraceptives do you use? I'm so scared of pregnancy that only using condoms just doesn't work for me, since as far as I'm aware, emergency pills also don't work properly when you're on anticonvulsants. And they already said they're planning on getting another GYN involved. They're looking for another OB. So Lufa, has any of your specialists given their opinion on this thing?
Well, my neurologist wouldn't know anything, but for me, I started with the Nexplanon, because I never had a regular period, so it was kind of hard to track with the pills. I started with the Nexplanon, which goes in your arm, so she could try that out. And that lasts for a few years. I think 3 to 5 years it lasts, and it's just, you don't even feel it going. It's very painless, easy. And then it just sits in your arm, and you don't have to worry about anything. There's not a ton of side effects. If you're looking for something a step further, if that doesn't work, then I would recommend the Mirena IUD, which goes inside of your uterus, I think. I found that really painful, but I think that's because I have something wrong with my uterus area, which is why it was 10 times more painful for me than it is for most women. But from what I've heard, it's either really painful or not painful at all. It just depends on your recruiter. But yeah, I would start off, try the Nexplanon. If not, you can have it removed at any time. And then you could try the Mirena. But I prefer, because you also have to make sure that the brand that you're using matters. Because when adding on a pill contraceptive to my daily routine, my OBGYN made sure that it was a certain brand, because different brands have different levels and different, types of product in them. I would just go for anything. But yeah, that would be my advice.
I got one here for Brandon.
Brandon's AFK.
Yeah.
He went to go shopping real quick.
Oh, okay. We can come back to it. Got one for everyone else. It says, does anyone else get myoclonic jerks from focusing too much or on new, complicated, stressful activity or tasks? I have tonic-clonic epilepsy, and this happens to me often at work, playing cards, video games, or when I do tasks that require a lot of cognitive effort on my part. I never asked if it was something normal, and I would like to know the truth. Thank you very much for answering.
It's the myoclonic epilepsy. Anything cognitive would send my myoclonic jerks spiraling. So, which is why I use the example of any type of like quick routine, like a dance routine or something, would send me into a myoclonic episode. So yes, that is a very common, I think, trigger for myoclonic seizures in epileptics.
First comment says, yes. That's my main trigger. Totally sucks. Card games really do it for me. I don't play them anymore. What? A card game?
Yeah. Because Tony, do you literally like chill out, dude? You're fine. You're fine. You have a pouch. You're a big boy. When I would play some video games or anything that would require quick thinking or anything, like I'm sure if I had to play chess, that would kill me. I'm pretty sure chess would literally abolish me. But like pickleball, you gotta think real quickly where that ball is going, because they're hitting it right back at you. And then that means I'm a seize. And sometimes with card games, if you're just thinking too hard, depends on the card game. I like Uno, but if you're playing like something where you gotta like quickly grab something or whatever, then count me out, I'm good. I'd rather not. Sometimes the adrenaline kind of
Oh yeah, like
sets it off in a way.
some of the comments here. One says I have grand mal seizure disorder. Anything too stressful or that requires too much cognitive effort has triggered a seizure multiple times in the past. Unfortunately, I've also had seizure triggered from something that made me too excited. Good or bad, stress is one of my triggers. Someone else said maybe I try to change my way that I think sometimes because of even some things that might hint of a bad stressful for epilepsy. Change of posture or just grounding where I am and what is going on and what I'm doing. And then to think through thin layers of what I'm doing. So I might see the in quote lazy way to do it, but it might just be the right way. I guess the point is not to forget to think and just be. Painting my nails. If I do it quickly with a thin, dry varnish, it's fine. Anything else, I'm stuffed, and I'm too scant to keep trying to get them on because they grow too fast. Okay, so yeah, she can't do nails if she doesn't do them fast. Is it that hard doing nails, Lufa? She basically said one swipes. You're on mute.
Yeah, especially if she's doing tips. If you don't put those tips on the right way the first time, then you have to start all over. And sometimes with the nail polish, if you don't let that first layer dry all the way and then try to put even like a cover up on it, you're screwed.
I just get mine done. I don't know how it is to do my own. I'm too lazy. I just get my pedicures done at a local salon.
Says ambulatory EEG on a roller coaster. I kid, but seriously, I might be one of the rare folks who have a proprioceptive or
Proprioceptive.
proprioceptus. Yeah, you said it. or vestibular motion as a reflex trigger. I've had tonic-clonics after playing Rocket League and after go-karting. Gonna ask my spouse to take me to a mountainous car ride instead and play a lot of Rocket League badly, of course. I will ask the tech about roller coasters, though. Wish me luck. I don't wish to go back to the EMU. It says it's a question.
Was there a question? I didn't.
It said ambulatory EEG on a roller coaster.
Oh,
It didn't really seem like it had any
I
questions.
wouldn't suggest that.
yeah, it just sounded like a few sentences. I didn't hear a question mark in there. Was there any information they needed, or were they just describing an upcoming?
Sounds like they wanted everybody else's opinion on whether it's suggested that an ambulatory EEG on a roller coaster would be any good, and then they went into all that detail about their vestibular system issues. So that being the inner ear, it detects head movement and orientation. It's a lot about
Proprioceptive
balance.
vestibular. Okay, yeah. So I guess if they're the proprioceptive vestibular, if that's a trigger, then the roller coaster. I wonder if they have a history of going to theme parks and going on a roller coaster and coming off in the middle of a seizure. If that's what they're trying to do to trigger their seizures with this, as opposed to going back to the EMU again. Um, I would definitely prefer to go ride roller coasters over going back to the EMU. Personally, I think that's a great idea.
But we'll put
Uh,
ambulatory EEG on you?
yeah, I don't know
If
if
those
the
electrodes
doctors
come
would be
off, though,
comfortable
it's a
with that
total
idea.
Yeah.
waste.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I don't know about anybody else, but you have to sign like a waiver and everything. And if it breaks or anything, you're pretty much
Yeah.
paying for the whole thing.
If they're comfortable with all of that stuff, right, and waiving all of those rights and paying for anything, and then still going on a roller coaster, then
It sounds like the arcade would be safe, but maybe not a full roller coaster.
yeah, that's, I mean, I doubt the doctors would agree to roller coasters anyway, but it's worth asking.
Yeah.
Kind of a little side note on that. Do any of you guys have really bad motion sickness as well? Like, for example, any roller coaster that has a loop, I can't do it. I have a headache, nausea, I'll throw up a bunch of times. For example, like roller coasters that, go up and down really quickly, motion sickness, like the teacups at Disneyland that spin constantly, same thing. I can't do it. I don't know if that's just a me problem or is that somebody that like a lot of got people with epilepsy have or
I love stuff like that personally. So it isn't
okay.
it
That's
isn't
that's a
one of
me
the
that's a
things.
me problem.
No, I've heard people who get sick from moving around and spinning and stuff like that. So you aren't the only one, but yeah, could be the medication, could be anything.
Yeah, because
I
I've
I
been on
get
roller
like
coasters
the
before.
head spinning stuff a lot more easily, like just riding in a car going up, approaching a stop sign, and then when the driver is kind of abrupt with the stop, like the jerking head back and forth from that can kind of give me a little like twisty, spinny head feeling thing. Like,
Yeah, even being a passenger in a car through like kind of like a twisty, windy canyon can get me, a little nauseous. I was just wondering, yeah, if anybody else had it that like specific as well.
Yeah, I think that in my case, it's due to the medications. I never had that before I started any of the AED meds.
Okay, yeah, I've had it ever since I was like a little kid, like years before I had my first seizure. So yeah, that's why I was thinking it might be something just separate, or if that was kind of like a precursor to me knowing I should have been keeping an eye out for having epilepsy or something. So,
Hmm.
So this one says, ignorance is bliss. My half sister just told me I was kicked. No, my half sister just told me she was kicked out after being accused of abusing her frail mother. Totally feasible knowing her. And that this is much worse than my very recent epilepsy diagnosis. When I tried to explain that these two items shouldn't be compared and we should be there for each other, especially when we're both falling apart, she flipped out. Yesterday, when I answered my boyfriend asking how I'm feeling, terrible, he asked if I had anything to eat or water, as if I'm poorly due to neglecting myself, which is definitely not the case. He immediately tried to change the subject. I explained how that question made me feel dismissed and proceeded to argue and even yell at me. He said he asked that because he cares. I counter this with, did you care enough to read about epilepsy and educate yourself about what I'm going through? The answer was no, so I yelled back that maybe if he took time to read about it, he'd know I can't drink myself out of epilepsy. I'm not speaking to either of them at the moment. I'm only on week 2 of this, but I'm reflecting on treatment by those closest to me. I can only imagine heartbreaking dismissal everyone in this community is subject to, and I wonder what else is in store for me. How much worse can this get? So I'm assuming this person is fresh into epilepsy. That's what it sounds like.
I don't know if like I don't know the dynamic between her and her boyfriend, but I mean sometimes just asking if, you know, are you hydrated and stuff is just I don't know, maybe he didn't mean it like you've dehydrated yourself into being epileptic. I don't know if he meant it like that. Maybe this person's just having a hard time like accepting it. And therefore is maybe pushing away what other people are trying to be supportive. I can see a little bit where I would be kind of annoyed with the sister, but I mean, I also just come from a family of you don't put your problems onto other people, and unfortunately, epilepsy is a problem, and so therefore, I would never expect someone right away to have all of the understanding that I do of my diagnosis and stuff like that. So, um, sometimes people just ask, you know, have you drank? Have you ate today? Maybe he was gonna order you some food. Who knows?
And if she's just starting on medication, she might not be totally used to it yet, and
Mm-hmm.
mood changes, mood swings
Mm-hmm.
happen in the beginning.
Yeah, the mood
So she
swings.
might not even realize that she's just being way too sensitive.
Yeah, which is not, you know, her fault, and is something that she, you know, should, you know, take a step back and kind of approach,
Learn what she's actually going through.
yeah, approach that with her boyfriend as well, so that he understands why she's acting the way she'll be acting. And if he's going to be a good support system during, because the med trials are not fun at all,
But
and probably like, in my opinion, just as bad as the epilepsy. It can be just
And
as bad
if
as.
more neurologists actually approached a patient with this information, then I think a lot of people would have a much easier transition if they understood that learning about
Yeah,
all the effects are going to
really,
be like, yeah, not optional.
I'm really thankful that the younger, I don't know what he was, but he was like a step below my doctor, but above like the kids that he's teaching, I guess. And then maybe he's like what do they call it in med school or whatever, teacher. Tony. Um,
Internist or something.
yeah. He's definitely getting paid though because he was teaching some of them like how to do some stuff and like because it was also like
Is he the
it's a
doctor's
school.
like grad student?
It might be because it's also like a school downtown Chicago. So it's also they use it as a way to teach med students um how to read EEGs and stuff like that. So he was showing them my EEG and teaching them how to read my EEG. But he was very, and I wish, sometimes I just wish that my doctors were a little bit younger because some of these older doctors really get on my nerves. Um, but he was very like straight up with me about the side effects. He was like, "You have a long history of mental health issues, so you need to be very aware." And he told my mom as well that we need to be very aware of the um, emotional challenges that it's gonna bring, and if it becomes too much, then I need to bring it up as soon as possible. And even with that clarification in mind, I think that my mom still didn't quite, and I still didn't quite expect how aggressive the medication can be towards your mental health because I've been on a lot of medications, specifically for your mental health. But I've never had any affect my mental health the way that Keppra has. Um, that one's just a beast eater. That guy's a fucking beast. Kepra's a beast. So
Yeah, they never even tried me on Keppra because of my mental health history. They went to Lamictal first. And so there's like
I started
only a handful that they would even consider. So
Lamictal, but it didn't work. It actually caused me to have more seizures. But when I was diagnosed, he kind of hinted in a way, like you could hear it in the undertone of his voice that he was saying, like, you just have to start with the Keppra in order for us to move you on to something else to show the insurance that you tried the Keppra. So it's basically just showing the insurance that I have been trying these lesser medications or whatever, which is why it's also helpful to get in other aspects of life to get a genetic testing or whatever for medications because that can really narrow it down quickly with when it comes to insurance. And so they can't really be like no because it's shown that it doesn't um it doesn't process in your body properly the way it's supposed to.
So somebody else here is trying to come to terms with a lobectomy. When I first met the team at Krembil Brain Institute at UHN, I was told I'm only likely to get up to 20% further reduction in seizures for medication, and that I'd most likely be looking at surgery. At the time, I thought that was kind of crazy and brushed it off. My recent 3-hour sleep-deprived EEG showed near constant sharp inclines and even new activity coming from my right temporal lobe, previously only left and generalized, whereas the one in January only showed occasional mild waves. The recent one also showed focal slowing and worsening during sleep. I've gone from one full tonic-clonic seizure every 3 or 4 months to one every 3 to 5 weeks, and numerous partials, whatever you like to call them, a day. I can't babysit my nephew. I started therapy to help me process this reality and help me deal with the guilt. I've already feel like such a burden to my husband. He's in the peak of his career, and when I do have surgery, he'll have to take a leave of absence to help care for me afterwards. I know the typical he married you for sickness and health, he loves you, etc., but I believe that he still think he deserves more. I had depression before epilepsy, so it's a battle. Anyway, needed to get this off my chest. Miss my independence so much. Thanks for listening. Maybe the surgery isn't worth it. If they're talking about lobectomy and it's not guaranteeing a fix, then messing with the meds and talking about every other surgery that's out there might don't go under the knife unless you're positive that's the right thing, unless you're both positive that's the right thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Anything that's like internal or like really getting in there, definitely, unless it's life-threatening emergency, definitely take a moment to, make sure everything's, because you also don't want to get the surgery when everyone's going to be stressed out, because that's not going to help your healing process. That's just going to make it harder. And if you're stressed out that your husband's taking a leave of absence and he's stressed out, because you're stressed out, and it's just back and forth type of thing. That it's not either one of the person's fault, but definitely do a little research beforehand, or try a little something else beforehand, or maybe if you could, I don't want to say stick it out until his peak ends. I don't know if his peak is gonna end, or if his peak is gonna keep going. If his peak's gonna keep going, then just get the surgery. You don't know what to tell him.
Yeah, make arrangements. Those surgeries take a long time to plan.
I find that it's a little hard to. It's different from epilepsy surgery, but with the ECT, I find that it's a little hard to heal when you're in an environment where people are like, you can just feel the stress
How
radiating.
invasive is the ECT?
I would say that it's not a surgery, it's a procedure.
Okay, so it's not an inpatient.
No, it's so you go in, you get put under. You don't need a lot because you don't need to be under for a long time. They target the area. They put on all little things, and then they force you into a seizure. Um, and then you come out of it and you feel like shit. And then you keep going and you pray that it works.
That's rough. So do they go ECG when your EEGs just don't pick up enough?
Well, ECT is for
Oh, okay.
ECT is the forcing you into a seizure to kind of fix your mental health.
Oh, okay.
Basically like kind of like shock therapy, but not shock
Oh,
therapy. It's but it's not a it's weird. It's because my thing is, I think that, so my therapist and my psychiatrist have been saying that it takes about like a year to get your memory back and to kind of get cognitive function back, and to, properly heal from the ECT treatments, because it is very invasive. They're forcing you into a seizure several times a week. And for me, it was
That's a lot.
yeah, it especially with the underlying diagnosis of epilepsy that they had not diagnosed me with yet. And one of it's actually funny because I saw the guy today. He was wearing the exact same outfit he was wearing when he was doing my ECT treatment. He was the one that as I was going under, he was like, "Yeah, last time it didn't go so well. She was seizing too long." And he's like, "We got to turn down a notch." I was like, "What?" As I'm going under. So that was a little traumatizing, but it it I forgot what I was saying, but it was it the doctors are saying that I'm gonna get, because I keep explaining to my therapist that like my memory's just not there, like my brain just doesn't work very well. She's like, "Oh no, the ECT is, it's gonna take," and I'm like, it's not the ECT, girl. Like it's a mixture of the ECT and the epilepsy. Epilepsy. I'm not. This isn't gonna go away. Stop telling me that. Stop telling me that my memory is going to get better, because my memory is literally jacked. I had ECT done, and then you want to put me in this epilepsy game on top of it with these medications that give me serious brain fog. And you're gonna tell me that my memory is gonna get better in a couple months? No, baby, we're just gonna have to look at it straight up. It's not gonna get better. And it's been really frustrating me because I hate when people say that shit. Like something that isn't gonna, like, it can, sure, my memory can improve, but it's not going to be better in the way that they're talking about it, because they're dealing with a different type of patient here. I have epilepsy as well, not just the ECT. So you have just zapped out a large portion of my memory and my personality, and now I have epilepsy as well, and you're just expecting me to possess after a year I have my memory back. No, it does not work like that. I cannot remember jack shit, and it's been 8 months. We're almost at a year. It's been almost 9 months. I don't even know how many months it's been. But it's almost been a year, and my memory is jack shit. It's gotten worse. So
There's definitely a difference between being optimistic and being realistic.
I got a question for Brandon.
being like a Debbie Downer, I'm just keeping it real with her. Like, you don't gotta lie to me. Why would I lie to myself? My memories. I basically have dementia. And Alzheimer's and dementia runs in my family.
Don't say that.
Same here.
It's not looking good here. I've got Alzheimer's and dementia that runs in my family. Both.
But we're doing our best. We're all doing our best, and that's what counts.
We're hanging in there. I got some memory while I still do.
We do what we can.
In 40s, who knows? Who
Exactly. We don't have to think about future us. Come on.
Exactly. She's like, "Where do you see yourself in the future?" I'm like, "I don't know. Hopefully I don't have a seizure and die, but I don't know."
If it happens, it happens.
Oh, girl.
I stand by. I know I already brought up Ted Lasso, I think, but I live by the Roy Kent. You live, you die, you're done.
T plus 5 minutes and 45 seconds.
Doesn't matter.
You just heard flight commentator Daniel Brunson confirm the successful
Yeah,
completion
so
of
Brandon,
milestones in this flight. And
Sorry,
also,
Mark. Thank you, Mark. What's up, Poopy?
It says, my mom says I can get an electric bike. My brother and my dad disagree. Me and my brother go to the same school. We both ride bikes, but I figured it'd be faster if I get an electric bike. My mom says sure. My dad and brother said no. What's the difference between an electric bike and a regular bike? Either way, I'll get there. just one is faster?
So it depends on the classification of the electric bike, because some are just pedal assist. But then you get up to the other categories where they are full throttle. That's more like having an electric motorcycle, that is in the gray area, when it comes
A
to
lot of debate about that.
yeah, exactly. So like
They're not on the
obviously,
bike lanes, they're not allowed in the car lanes, and they're not allowed on the sidewalk.
yeah, I mean, it's because if they're in the road, then they should be riding like, well, okay, so in
They need
the
a
United,
separate lane for them.
hang on. All right, now I'm gonna get all into it as a League of American Bicyclists certified instructor. So when a bicycle is in the road, it is considered the exact same as any other vehicle on the road. Any car, any truck, any motorcycle, we all have to follow the same rules. Obviously, a lot of cyclists are people who ride bikes. I shouldn't call them cyclists because, like, if you say cyclist, then you kind of get into like, all right, they're experienced, they probably understand, but you get some
The guys in
dude.
the tidy whities.
Hey,
The bike, sorry.
hey, okay, it
My
is
grand
called
and
a cycling kit. What was that?
my grandpa used to do the runs and the marathon, the Boston marathons in those really tiny shorts. So
Well, that's running stuff. That's different from cycling.
yeah,
That's way different.
just
There's padding in cycling. Also, there's like
like they put little butt
there's
pads.
shoulder straps and shoulder straps, butt pads. Yeah, the triple pockets in the jersey. Anyway, shit, where was I going with this? Fuck. Oh yeah. So you have the people who cycle, like who ride and they do the group rides, and a lot of times those people don't follow the rules because it's harder when you're in a group for everyone to come to a stop. I am not condoning this. But when you are on the road on a bike, you are supposed to follow every single rule and law that all the other vehicles follow. But when you start getting into the e-bike thing, they start swapping between, oh, I can ride in the road and the sidewalk and the bike lane, but also I can go 35 miles an hour. That does not connect. That doesn't work. So it's a lot of people who are very like uninformed about the rules,
It also depends on what area of land you're in because it's
Well,
different for every state as well. There's
that's true too. Yeah, it's like where
there's
I
like
live.
universal laws, but then there's also like state laws where, because I know in some states it's like they're more strict about some things, and some states they're less strict about some things, and
Yeah,
But I think there's still
also there's
too.
only like two.
Because it's also with the scooters as well. They got the e-bikes and the e-scooters. Like those things fly as well.
So
They
the
go
scooters are actually more in the gray area. There's more laws around e-bikes than there are around the e-scooters. And the
scooters
e-scooters
fly.
are so fast, but also the wheel size it's so small that people crash on them all the time because they'll go to turn and they forget how small the wheel is, and it's immediate jackknife over the handlebar.
We have a ton of those little green scooters in Chicago.
The Lime scooters.
Yes, and they go up to like 40 miles, I think.
I don't think it's 40. It wouldn't go up
30?
to
40? I don't know. I see some people. I don't know. Some people have like some fancy ass bikes.
I'd say 25 max, but regardless.
I don't know. I've never ridden one, so I wouldn't know. But there are some that in my area that I'm in right now, where I live now, there are a lot of e-scooters. I don't see a lot of e-bikes, but more a lot of e-scooters. And when I tell you those kids are fucking whipping that shit, like 60 miles an hour, that shit's got a booster on it. And I'm like, whoa, where did you get that? I can't, whoa, you can kill someone going that speed. Holy shit.
So
These
last
people
thing I
like
guess
shit.
last thing I guess we can talk about with this before we move on is I will say this. It was 5 years ago. I was working as a bike messenger. I was downtown, and one day, me and my coworkers, we were chilling at our downtown hangout spot, waiting for like law firms to call us and like want us to deliver something, whatever. And we see this giant horde of kids, like teenagers, on bikes. Okay. Now, some of them were on their own personal bikes, but a lot of them were on the spin bikes. We were kind of like laughing about it. We were like, oh wow, that's wild. A bunch of kids on bikes, like just taking over the street. Oh, it's it's basically a Lime bike.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Just one of those, app-based electric bikes. Yeah. And so we were like, oh, that seems fun, I guess. Cool. Next day, I see the news articles. It was basically a giant riot of teenagers on bikes, where I'm not saying riot and teenagers on bikes lightly. They actually were surrounding people who were in their cars, not letting them move, and then yanking them out of their cars and beating them.
It's not like domestic terror. That would kind of fall into a form of planned domestic.
It's straight up assault. It's straight up assault.
You want to really get into the law.
And so for 3 years, the spin bikes and scooters were banned because of what those teenagers did. Yeah, it was absolutely wild. But they pulled a woman out of her car and beat her for just trying to leave her parking spot.
They have these kids out here.
Guess a few of the areas that might have gone down in.
What was that?
Can I guess the areas that might have gone down in?
Well, if you're gonna guess downtown in front of City Hall, then yes.
Okay.
You were not gonna guess that, were you?
They do this all over the area.
I was gonna say it was probably gonna be in like a major city, like in a major.
Oh, I'm in a minor league city. So Providence, Rhode Island is
okay.
We're in between Boston and New York in terms of like size. So we're not a major city, we're a minor league city. You know what I mean?
So I've seen things like that happen. But in bigger cities, of course, like
New York City.
New York, yeah. New York,
the Wheelie Boys.
Yeah.
The Wheelie Boys in New York
is notorious for stealing bike parts, the electric bikes, people.
I have a bunch of friends in New York.
Fucking with you. Like in New York, it is a free for all. So you gotta be prepared when you go down there.
Now let's hear about it in Cali.
You gotta lock your bike up in a cage and then lock.
Well, I was just about to say, Poogie, you're in what? No,
Yeah, they aren't exactly stealing bikes. They're just going crazy with the bikes. They're on
Or
freeways. They're
they'll take the parts. They'll take parts off the bikes. They'll take
Oh,
on
yeah.
wheels and shit,
bridges.
they'll take
they strip them.
batteries. They'll take the engines off the. They'll take any parts they can get, and they will salvage it.
I
They
had a
will-
Over here, what they're
$9,000
doing
e-bike
Like-
stolen from me about 3 years
You're
ago.
talking-
around here, what they're doing is they're going like thousands of kids just on bikes, and they're going on bridges and making videos and going on freeway exits and all kinds of stuff. In San Francisco, they just like take over thousands of bikes, like 5 minutes just worth them going by with just bikes, just kids on bikes.
I
And
got some really good friends in San
Like,
Francisco who ride, but they're in the fixed gear scene. So it's a little bit more like the skateboarder scene, and less like the wheelie boy scene, I guess. Where the wheelie boys will actually like take over a highway. Those kids are nuts.
it's something like that.
I never want to be in a ride with the
in the
wheelie
water.
with because they don't care about going like fast through traffic. They just care about holding up everybody.
Yeah.
I just want to go fast through traffic and make it so people will look and be like, was that a bicycle? It's already gone. I don't care.
Yeah, they were always doing that in San Francisco and Oakland on the freeway exits and stuff. Big cities. Yeah, just
Chicago's
careless.
much different from that. They're like everyone's flying at a rapid pace. Everyone is just like the second you're starting to head down to the city, like I just fear for my life because of the other drivers. The second I see it, any sort of like I hear any sort of engine rev or anything, I'm like, this is it. This is it. Because there's so much street racing and so many car meets and shit that happens down here, and the car meets down here are impeccable. Like people will get onto the cars, they'll do like full donuts.
Fast and Furious 1.
It's insane. It's literally insane. I'm like, what? They have bottles of Hennessy and Don Julio. They're like everywhere. Everyone's got a bottle. Everywhere.
What
And
is that?
people are just
Pokey's like,
going
hang on, where? What?
crowds
Where?
everywhere. And you gotta like, it's almost like
I need actual
it's almost
addresses.
playing a game of like trying to
Get the
dodge
zip
the
code.
It's insane. It's insane. It's like it's literally like it's insane.
What zip code is that?
Literally just Chicago. Just Chicago.
I've been meaning to get out to Chicago recently. My uncle lives there. I've never met him, and he has 3 adult daughters that are like all like around my age. I'm like, I've got to meet my family. What the fuck?
Do I want McDonald's or Wendy's? I know that's not great options, but that's what I'm feeling right now. So I don't know what to tell you guys.
I just had tacos and I'm still hungry.
Are we feeling McDonald's or Wendy's?
It's Taco Tuesday.
Wendy's.
I was just about to say, Angel, like when I was younger, I would always have gone Wendy's over McDonald's. Yeah.
I actually never knew Wendy's existed until I moved out to Illinois.
What the fuck?
There wasn't a ton where I lived in New Jersey.
And if you're going for burger, bacon cheeseburgers.
Where I lived in Jersey, it was mostly like family-owned restaurants and diners.
Yep.
Wait, hang on.
Place
You're from Jersey, but you didn't know what a Wendy's was?
They didn't have
She's
any.
talking more rural Jersey, probably
Yeah,
like north.
rural Jersey, like in the trees, like in like
I didn't even know that there was an in the trees part of Jersey.
Yeah, no, we were by my grandparents had about 20 something acres of land because my grandfather's father used to he actually owned a private airport. It's a private airport that people, I don't know. I think it's still open, but he opened it or whatever. So like any famous people would land there. But
Oh, okay. So it's like the 100 square mile of
it's like
Jersey that is trees.
yeah, but he had like his own area where he would like land. And my great aunt, Carol, she actually wrote because they have like those history books on each part of the USA, and she actually wrote the one for Mahwah, New Jersey. So she
That's
did,
really cool.
yeah, she did all the information for that, because that's where they grew up. But it's super like, I actually have the layout. You can't really see it, but right there is the entire layout of the process of it being built back.
I love
Grandpa.
connections like that. That's always like
Yeah,
great, you know. Or
yeah.
no, it's that. Well, it's
But
great information, but it's fun information.
it was right off of this road, Route 20, I think. And you would go down, and they actually got robbed 3 times because of how quiet of an area, like how
Oh, they would just
cut off,
like
closed off. It
people
was,
would just hang
yeah,
out
it
waiting
was
for a
such,
car. Yeah.
especially in like the from like the um especially from the like 70s to 90s, like it was the perfect place to rob. Um,
Yeah.
so they had 3 robberies go down there, but they survived. Yay. But yeah, I grew up in rural Jersey for half my life, a little bit. Yeah.
You do
Okay.
not seem like rural Jersey girl.
Yeah, with
If I
The
could,
rural Jerser.
the diners,
Sorry.
the
If anybody
people
who
came
knows
out
30
north.
Rock,
Where's the
rural
diners?
juror.
Anybody can love the Appalachians.
I got something. Says I feel like my parents resent me. 19-year-old male came back from university 2 months ago. Ever since, it seems like they dislike that I can't live a normal life. They constantly mention about how I spend all my days in my room until at least 10. Don't have my life planned out and not doing anything. I spend all day in my room because I have nothing to do as my university is finished. I don't get up until 10 because I need as much sleep as possible. Otherwise, my seizures are worsened. I don't have my days planned in advance because I can't do anything unless someone will take me places as I can't drive. The other day, they started to make as much noise as possible at 8:30 because I wasn't awake yet, such as vacuuming, cleaning, and generally making a lot of noise, which woke me up. I, however, am lectured if if I wake someone up when they're gone to bed, it feels like, as a result, the fact I don't live a similar life to my brothers, male 27 and male 24, who have both had jobs since they were 17 and can drive. They consistently tell me to get a job, disregarding the fact that I'm having absent seizures at least 4 times a day. And when I was going to work in a pub where my mom works at, they didn't let me, as if it was danger to myself and customers. Any ideas on what to do? This sounds like it's in the UK when they say pub and then they say university a lot.
Tell your brothers to fuck off.
Um,
agree
yeah.
with you on that, Brandon.
Hey, brothers know their little brother.
Yeah, if they know you're having absent seizures, it's like they know you're like it's going to be very, very hard to keep a job with that if you're having them 4 times a day. So
Yeah.
The first thing I would advise is getting them under control.
Yeah, have a fully just like no holds barred conversation with your brothers, being like, you do actually realize what I'm going through, right? And if you don't, please let me explain it to you, because this is not something that I can just get over. You know, I have a problem, or I have a condition. There's nothing I can do about it.
Exactly.
You need to understand my like place in this as well.
Like, they may look minor, but if it's still happening too many times a day, they can open up your neural pathways to lead to a tonic-clonic or grand mal.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. How, once it starts, it doesn't get better necessarily. It can be controlled, but it doesn't get better on its own. It can only get worse because your brain is actively, I don't want to say destroying itself, but I mean,
Short circuiting.
Actively
it,
fucking up.
and when the short circuits and the fucking up happens, you know, our brains pathways are frying themselves. So our brain is working harder to replace that. It's like every seizure we have is making it worse, even if it's just a small focal throughout the day or whatever. But if you're having 4 focals throughout the day, that's a lot. And they should definitely check in with a neurologist. If it was like one every couple of days and maybe a TC every couple of weeks or whatever, then it'd be like, okay, yeah, this seems normal. Your meds seem to be working as best they can. But if you're having 4 focals a day, that's not normal.
They said 4 absence, right?
Oh, sorry, absence, not
Yeah.
focals.
Still seizures.
Yeah,
Still seizures, and
still a
they
seizure.
can be focal. So
Now, this person, I think we've talked about issues like this before. The title reads Using Epilepsy to Get Out of Stuff, but it doesn't exactly sound like they're doing that. It says, does anyone else do this? Now I've done this multiple times and I feel like an asshole for doing that. It's mostly to not have to go outside when it's scorching hot, to stop the why don't you get a license talk and when are you going to have children talk. Get people to stop trying to get me to learn how to swim. Or when I feel sick and sit in the bus and an older lady, not old, just older, tries to force me to get up. All right, so this one definitely sounds young. And this response sounds like they address every point. They're saying, not sure what country you're in, but in many, and especially the US, driving is an easy one because anybody with uncontrolled seizures can't have a license. Swimming is another one. You're having seizures, especially if you have the tonic-clonics. You don't feel safe. You can't feel safe. That's the only reason you need. Like, none of these things are resonating as like they're bad for not wanting to do it. And then the bus, oh, these people. I lived alone in NYC for some years and had fights on the subway with people when I'm like, dude, I already have 2 seizures this morning. If you don't have a leg, I'll get up. But if you're healthy, this is my seat. I don't care how old you may be, unless it's impairing your balance. And then peer pressure sucks. Ultimately, you have a health condition, need to make decisions to keep yourself safe while treating it. And even more so, epilepsy or not, who cares? If you say no, it's no. That's all the reason you need. Yeah, that one sounds like it struck personal with them because they're saying they need to respect your boundaries, and that's what it comes down to, respect. You guys ever had family members or friends or somebody try to talk you into doing more, even though you know the seizures are too risky?
Over here. Yeah. Try to use my age too. You are 36 years old.
You're the only mother those children are ever going to have. Don't you want to be a better example?
She took me back from trauma.
Yeah, I wasn't looking to trauma dump, so I was hoping somebody else would jump in just then.
Wait, hang on. What was the? I guess if you could do a quick summary real quick on that one.
Yeah, the issue was on that last poster was somebody who they posted saying, has anybody ever used epilepsy as an excuse? But then the reasons that they give didn't rationalize as excuses at all. It was legitimate activities like driving and swimming that
Yeah,
epilepsy
that's
can obviously prevent you
Yeah,
from doing.
okay.
If
safe,
it,
That's where I got
safe reason.
confused because, like at first I was like, okay, one one time I did, but it was to get out of a haircut that I literally didn't have like the money to pay for, so I just tech and if I skipped out on it, I was gonna get charged like a cancellation fee. And so I
Okay,
texted my
yeah,
barber to be
serious.
like, hey, health wise, I'm not feeling great. I'm so sorry. This came out of nowhere. And she was like, it's okay, I won't charge you the cancellation fee. That's the only time I've ever done it.
yeah, it sounds like the title, it makes me think that like uh an issue of like reading and emphasis, what they listed off. I think if anything, it sounds like it excuses, it's not an excuse.
So
You
they
know, they're
gave the
not,
examples of uh,
yeah.
they put quotes around do more with your life or something like that. So it sounded more of like a family influence and like peer pressure situation where if they say it's
Yeah,
too
like
hot, I don't want
legit,
to go out. Yeah.
like they've got legit reasons and their family are being kind of
Too
unreasonable.
pushy.
The way that the title was written out, it sounds like, you know, are you using it to weasel out of stuff? Like Brandon had said, like, that doesn't sound like what I don't know. It's, the, um, I've got an extremely understanding family, parents that I live with, and my sister is an ER nurse. I think I mentioned that. So, in my case, they're all,
Is your sister in the orders?
I don't really have any excuse. They all understand. My mom watches the podcast. So, um, yeah, I have no excuses. Um, they
Also,
all,
Angel, I'm with you where when he said that his sister was an ER nurse, I was like, wait, what? I don't know if you heard that, Mark, but Angel was like, wait, what?
oh yeah, I stepped out on the patio here. I'm about to roll one up, so I kind of I have the volume lower.
Um, I've had a I've had a couple of long-term relationships since then. One, she was actually a nurse for a local school, so she kind of understood it. We had our separate issues and went our separate ways. The other really good friend of mine that was always there for me and understood it, she unfortunately had to move out to Texas for her job. Um, so basically, ever since then, I've just kind of given up on really having a close relationship. It's just too hard to explain the lack of work, lack of funds, being my age, living with my parents, not driving. So it just, yeah, kind of single. And if something happens, something happens. If not, then so be it. That's just life.
Okay, that's a way to go about it. How about you, Annie?
It definitely interrupted my career. Um, but for me, my divorce was the best thing that happened to me. As hard as that was, recognizing later that he's taking advantage of the epilepsy, and I don't know how to explain that. I'm with you, James. It's like too hard to explain, basics being taken advantage of. during the seizure and married to the guy. That was the best thing. But I know the hardest thing for me was that I had to drop out of school. And I was so close to having my associates that I was able to get my LPN, but I never got my RN. And I was on my way. My plan was to get my DNP and to be a nurse practitioner on the doctorate level. So, yeah, the epilepsy definitely interrupted that. But over time, and especially here, you guys, I appreciate you so much um, for reminding me that I am a badass. Okay. I don't stop the fight until I win. And if I have to crawl through the flames, I'll get to you. I will get it. I will get there. And I didn't realize how tenacious I was until finally we got things working out. But yeah, it was my nursing career that I'm most sad about, but I still have some of it in my head. I have a lot of friends who are nurses, DNPs, other medical professionals, a couple of surgeons. I can say it now because he hasn't been my doctor for 5 years. Um, my doctor that I had in Buffalo that literally saved my life is one of my best friends because we worked together to get access in New York State um, because they legalized medical marijuana, but they wouldn't allow any dispensaries to open. And for 4 years, we're shaking the cages in DC.
So did you
So
have to do home grow then? Was that it? That it
yeah,
wasn't.
we did a lot of stuff. I'm part of what we call ourselves the grassroots underground. It's over. They can't get us for that now. But we did what we had to do, especially for kids. Little Charlotte was our biggest project, and um, that was the result of the grassroots underground. We knew that this worked, and we wanted to get it to people who needed it. And now that's a lot easier. But I was being reminded, it's like, how did you know that? I'm like, oh, um, I still pull my books out every now and then. Um, but I mean, we know more about our condition than our doctors do. And when you finally get one that admits that says you have to tell me what's going on so I can figure out how to help you. And I think that was a statement that totally turned my head. And it's like, I'm still feeling sick. I couldn't eat dinner. I was just like, the first bite, I'm like, no. I'll try some chicken soup later if I'm not sleeping, but I can't eat. I'm so nauseous. And, thankfully, this doctor is like, oh, I know what that means. That means we have to drop the Vimpat. And he didn't waste any time. It literally, 20 minutes. Like if I look at my chart, if it was 20 minutes, that was a long time. I have never had a doctor respond that quickly. And he made it about this shoulder surgery because it is such a trigger for me. And he's like, I don't want anything to happen. So I feel like he's taking care of me, but I would have rather had a career, but that's not what the universe had planned for me. Um, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I just haven't figured it all out. But yeah, that definitely ruined things. I mean, passing tools over an open cervical spine and I go over backwards in the operating room. That was the end, and it was like, oh shit, you know, and no better doctors to see that than neurosurgeons, and still didn't get that diagnosis for another 15 years. So that sucked, but definitely had to drop out of school. looking back now, I probably would have had a lot of problems. I mean, I don't think I would have stayed on the dean's list. I would have passed, but I wouldn't have been where I wanted to be. And as far as working, we all know
But
how hard it
if
can be.
if you had insisted on staying on, you think you would have been able to push through with the epilepsy? Is that what you're saying there?
I
I just
don't
want to
think
make
I
sure I
could.
understand.
Yeah, I don't think I could have because that seizure changed a lot for me right there. And I literally forgot how to get home.
Oh
And
wow.
I sat in my car for like 15 minutes and then it hit me. And I'm like, instead of driving home, I'm going to go right to the registrar and talk to the dean. And she was like, I'm really sorry. I already got the notification. Um, you have to be alert, ready, and capable at all times. And I couldn't. But maybe a school nurse, maybe, but I had to finish school, but I couldn't. And that was in like 92, 93. But I didn't have that really bad seizure until 2007. So it took me a while, but still, I mean, I can let myself get really depressed over that, or I can say, I'm still using this. I'm still using that knowledge, and I want to be able to use it more, but it takes a lot out of me, and I have to be careful, um, especially now. Man, yeah, I'm feeling some side effects, and my daughter just gave me. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of cupping. Um, it's kind of a holistic technique where they take these cups and attach them to your skin and like suck the air out of them to create
The little,
pressure.
yeah, like
Yeah,
suction, like little
yeah,
shot glasses that and it
kind of, yeah.
basically,
Yeah,
yeah, I think
it's the
I
closest
remember
thing
seeing
to
something.
acupuncture. So we call them cupperonis because they look like a, a pepperoni hickey. So we call them cupperonis. And oh my gosh, she found trigger points that were giving me that headache. The headache is still there, but I can tolerate it. But she is amazing. Okay. I am so proud of this woman. And I know all I can say is I brought her here. She did the rest. I brought her here. And she is absolutely amazing. I can't put that gratitude into words, and she'll be poking around and working, and she's like, oh my God, mom. Yeah, yeah, it's that bad. And she wouldn't touch my arm. She's like, I'm not touching that. So she worked in the back of my shoulder and my neck, and it's really sore back there because trying to hold my shoulder out, it's like I'm worn out. And just before we did that, it was after I figured that I couldn't eat. And now I know why, because she ended up giving me a lorazepam. The dog started going a little crazy, just staring at me and like kind of whining and showing her bottom teeth. And I just looked at her and I was like, oh shit, I need something. And I knew CBD wasn't going to do it. So I took some lorazepam, so I'm feeling it. But that headache just keeps, yeah, it's my shoulder, it's all that crap. But
It just
she gave
keeps
me a good
coming.
beating. Yeah, it works. It works. But yeah, I miss it. I look at her and I'm like, you are completing my mission to care for others. So I can look at her and her career and appreciate how she's helping people and just kind of translate that and say, yeah, that's my girl. That's what I wanted to do. So she's finishing what I started, just in a very different way.
I think you shouldn't underestimate your own achievements with the activism and raising awareness. There's a lot to be said for that. The cannabis through the 90s and now with the epilepsy, hopefully we can really get some more people to watch this and understand what it's like. But
Mhm.
yeah, don't not all help needs to be hands-on with a nursing
Right,
degree. So
right. And
yeah.
I think by now I would have been disappointed because the way the system is working. I watch my friends and yeah, they're disappointed. I got a story today that a friend of mine is working on her internship for her doctorate, and she's a wound care nurse, and her supervisor made a huge mistake, and I don't want to describe it because it's very graphic. So basically, she has to go in on her day off and spend the time with the director to help this patient and write up the exit letter for the nurse that did that. It was an egregious act of neglect. I mean, I didn't finish school and I was like, wait, what happened? No, 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 no. She did that all wrong. And like, she's been there 45 years. And this nurse completely screwed up a dressing on a sternum. And yeah, the patient is in ICU on life support right now. So I don't know if I could have survived. I probably would have hurt somebody and got arrested if I saw stuff like that. I don't know. My emotional control changed. Sometimes with each seizure, it got harder for me to stay regulated. I don't know if you guys experienced any of that, where those mood swings and medication changes. And yeah, I don't know if I could have done it. But thank you, Mark. You're absolutely right. What I do now is an offshoot of what I wanted to do. And we're still helping people. We're still getting them to the medicine or the medicine to them, and educating people. But I just, yeah, I literally have a spine of metal. I do. My cervical spine, 5 through 7, it's all titanium. Um, but yeah, I really don't want to waste any more time feeling sorry for myself because I didn't finish school. Because look what I have. I don't need the degree to do this. So yeah, I love it. And you guys reignited that for me. And I'm like, oh, just to be able to relax and know everybody here understands. We don't have to explain ourselves. It's like, no, I get it. I get it. And it's like, I can't believe I was boiling pasta 10 minutes before I had a seizure tonight. And I'm like, all right, we got to talk. I can't do this stuff. But it's temporary, right? This is temporary. We're going to remove a trigger. It should be all right. But yeah, that was it. It's disappointing, but medicine has changed, and I'm disappointed with that. So I'm actually, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I've accepted that. But yeah, my daughter definitely, she's amazing. She absolutely, and she was not just the cupping, but some really deep tissue release. And she was even like squawking. She's like, "Oh my God," yeah, yeah, this is really tangled up in here. So doing our best to get things moving, get the inflammation out. But my back is covered with cupperonis right now. And the Ativan is making my head swim. So I'll be all right. I'll be all right.
We'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
You will be all right because you've proven it so many times before.
Yeah. Talking about some of the seizures.
You're my hero, Annie. And my
What's up?
I said you're my hero, Annie.
Oh, thank you. And you are mine because you're showing me what to expect. Those giant pills. I'm going to be cutting those because they won't fit in my pill case. So, yeah. But I just
Wait, the
thank you for that.
Excopri pills?
Yeah, the
Oh,
150s are
okay.
they're
Give me a
huge.
moment. You'll see the 200s in just one moment.
Oh boy.
They're they're not circular,
No. So they go down easier, huh?
but they're still big. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's kind of like the vitamin B pills that they give us. Have you ever had those? The prescription vitamin B? They're giant, and it's like swallowing a piece of chalk.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
had to
Or
take
you can
it's,
put it in some warm water.
I don't know. I don't know. That would be bitter. I like RB12 better. Okay. I'd rather have a gummy or a quick dissolve. But yeah, those pills, I'm like, it isn't. He's convinced it isn't the Xcopri that's bothering me right now. It's actually the Vimpat. So I'm not going to disagree because I started getting what I called Vimpat vertigo about 90 minutes after I took my pill. I was guaranteed to have an hour of vertigo. And I would just be like, okay, just sit down, stay down, you know. And I'm hoping that goes away because right now it's like exponential right now. I hate it.
The vertigo, that is a perfect word to describe what I was trying to describe earlier at the stop signs. When I'm riding in the car with somebody and they come up and they're approaching the stop sign and then they come to a full stop and like that jerk, that kind of makes my head kind of swirl. Is that kind of what you were describing there or what you were feeling? Or is it just, I think you're on mute, Annie?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Um, are you saying that when your head moves, you get that vertigo feeling?
Yeah,
Because
like
that's
when it moves abruptly, um, I don't know. When I was driving, I was always really gentle on the brakes and the stop coming to a gentle stop. I was kind of almost obsessive about it. So maybe it's just having to ride along with other people. I'm noticing that others have different styles and that's bothering me, but I'm wondering if on Vimpat you're feeling a similar sort of exaggerated
yeah, it does
slowing.
it does kind of feel like that. It's more like a double vision, dizzy, off balance feeling. I also have what's called BPPV. It's
I'm
benign proximal positional vertigo. I have that problem in my ear,
Oh,
and so we have to fix that. Hopefully, we can. Um, and the way the
turning
crystals,
your head too
oh yeah,
quickly
turning my head,
causes.
putting a dish up on the second shelf, I could literally fall over backwards sometimes. And now with all the inflammation in that shoulder, all I have to do is literally touched my shoulder, and I'm like, whoa, just moving my arm is enough to throw me off because there's so much swelling in here. And that's why I just took the beating with the cups, you know. It's like we got to get that out of there because I'm so dizzy. I don't feel safe. You know, when I'm afraid I'm going to fall kind of thing. But that is I think BPPV is more common than we give it credit for. So whenever you have a fall where you've either bumped your head or you know you've gone flat down on the floor or your neck got suddenly moved and you start having vertigo, you should most definitely talk to your doctor. I've lived with this most of my life and I didn't know that there was treatment to take care of it.
People just
So
assume it's normal and don't
yeah,
go
I'm
to
like,
them.
okay, I had a head injury. I figured it was just from a TBI, you know, but it is, but it's easier to fix than I thought. It doesn't require surgery. It doesn't, yeah, it's just positioning and yeah, I have a physical therapist that's going to do that for me. But the
Is
vertigo
it
that I
not
had,
something you can do yourself? Does the
you
positioning
can,
require like manipulation?
yeah, yeah, it's best to start with a therapist that does that. Um, because they have to move the crystals that are in the inner ear that are out of place. And they can see what's happening better than I can. Like they literally watch eye movements, facial expressions, and that gives them little clues about what's happening. And we did it once. And when she brought my head back and then like tilted my head, I thought I was going to fall off the table and I jumped. And she said, okay, that's one. And that's basically the feeling that you get when it goes back into position. It's kind of the same feeling. But most of my vertigo right now is from the vent pad. I've had that for quite a while. I don't even have to move. And I'm like, yeah, space cadet. But yeah, looking forward to getting this all fixed. It's like, okay, let's just stop arguing about lawsuits and give me the medical treatment I need. Yeah, Space Cadet Annie for sure. Man, I can't even begin to tell you the crazy shit that I've experienced because of that. And I'm talking throughout my life. So this isn't new, but they can still fix it or at least make an attempt. And yes, I will have exercises at home where you basically hang your head off the end of your bed. So it's like, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. And I can't do it until she gets all of this back into position. So that should be easier after the shoulder surgery. Um, we'll see. We'll see.
Please take your medication as prescribed or whatever works for you. We're not doctors.